So today you find me in the garage and we're going to be stripping down the X30, but whilst I'm doing this, I'm going to be talking about and writing down how much does karting really cost. We're going to have 4 different categories. 1 is going to be rental karts. 2 is going to be very early doors, starting buying your own kit. 3 is going to be club level racing, and then 4 is going to be the British Kart Championships, the top level in the UK. Let's get a GoPro on my head and let's start stripping this kart. Before we make a start on the kart and getting the bodywork off, let's write down the categories that we're going to be covering. So category 1, rental karting. You'll have to excuse my left-handedness. Category 2 is beginner, so this is where you first start buying your own kit. So category 3 is club level. This is where I used to race. So category 4 is British Kart Championship. Let's start off with getting this front bumper off and talking about rental karting. So rental karting is quite varied. There's lots of different circuits that do it. There are lots of different places that do it. There are indoor, there are outdoor. There's so many different variables. It's really hard to put just a standard price on it. An adult race experience, we'll just write adult for now. 2 15-minute sessions at £60, which I think is actually quite reasonable. That's based on Team Sport Karting in the UK, which is one of the biggest karting brands in the UK on indoor karting. They're very popular. I've been to many and they are absolutely fantastic. I actually really enjoy going to them. Outdoor, I'm basing this off Elk Karting in Lincolnshire because it is one of the nicest looking circuits on the outside, but it's not the top end one like PFI. An adult GP race, which is 5-minute practice, 3 10-minute races and 1 15-minute final. And that is £75, which I also think is insanely good value for money because you've got 5 minutes of practice, 3 heats and a final. I think that's such good value. The venue there is really nice. They've got a real nice indoor space as well. It's actually a really good place to go to. From what I hear, quite a fun track. I've never been around it myself. Then we get on to 24-hour races. These are really popular. I've never done one myself, but I'd really like to, and I think I probably will on the channel at some point. 24 hours of karting is, per team, at Buckmore Park, £3,000. Now that seems like a lot of money. When you break it down between 4 people, that's £750 each. That's rental karting covered. Let's get on to taking off the side pods on the kart whilst I talk about your beginner levels of karting. Beginner levels of karting can vary so much because there's so many low level circuits and there's also so many different karts you can buy, different engines, different classes. It varies so much, this sport. It's really hard to put an actual figure on it. So I'm just going off the averages here. If you wanted to start off in karting, the best thing to do is go on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and buy a cheap starter kart. As long as you get something that's within your budget, in reasonable condition. Obviously you don't want to be driving around on an absolute banger. So that's one side pod off. Let's write down for beginner. So let's say you're going to be spending for your kart, probably trolley, wheels and tyres, maybe you might get involved. So you're about £1,000, and that's excluding your racewear. Racewear can vary so much. You can buy a brand new helmet for about £500, or you can go really cheap and buy a second-hand helmet, and you could probably spend, on a real tight budget, you could probably get all of your racewear for about £500. I'm over-exaggerating on that, but this is what you might find as the best, with a helmet, suit, gloves, boots, and a rib protector, which I highly recommend getting a rib protector. So beginner, you're about £1,500 before you've even turned a wheel on the track. Now I think I haven't been to beginner circuits for a long time, so I'm gonna guess on the race entries, and I'm gonna guess they're about £60 per day. So times that by 2 for a race weekend. You can just turn up on the Sunday. Let's put £120 there. Fuel, obviously, you need fuel, spares, lubricants. There's loads of other bits to involve. So I'm going to guess on that at around about £150. That's if you use a whole can of brake cleaner, a whole can of chain lube, which you won't. That is probably where you're going to start off at per weekend, about £120. Beginners, you're probably going to be spending around about £1,770. Bear in mind, it's probably not going to be that much. I'm probably over exaggerating, but I don't want to underestimate and make it look way cheaper, and then you get there and you realise it's so much more. And also, you're not going to be spending £150 every weekend on tyres, etc. That is buying your kit and your first race weekend. It is probably going to be, per race weekend, not a lot of money. So that's your beginner karting done. It's not really that expensive. This is how I started. Everybody starts somewhere, and this is the best place to start in my opinion. Yes, rental karting is fantastic, but obviously you're going to need to buy your own kit, and that's a big jump. If you don't have the money for that, I still think indoor and outdoor rental karting is absolutely fantastic. Let's get the other side pod off now, whilst I talk about club level. So club level, I did for about 12 or 13 years. That's pretty much where most people race in the UK. It's not massively expensive compared to the British Kart Championships. However, it is still quite expensive. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that want to get into karting and racing. It's just almost unreachable because it is so hideously expensive nowadays. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. We're going to put the side pods down there so they're nice and out of the way. And I'm going to get out all the bolts in there. Right, so that's the side pods and the nose cone off. We're going to start talking about club level. Your annual costs, we're going to start off. Your license per year is £360 for a Motorsport UK Kart National license, which you need to race at club level. You haven't got a choice. This is a payment that you need to make. Now, club membership, I'm going to base this off Trent Valley Kart Club in Lincolnshire, which is where I race for most of my karting career, which is £100 per year. So those are your yearly annual costs. Race weekends, there's 12 race weekends per year normally, including Kart Masters. I'm going to use that as a regular race weekend because you can just go race elsewhere, or you can spend a little bit of extra money and do the extra 2 days of Kart Masters. So race weekends, I'm going to include tyres, fuel and oil, which is £235 per race weekend. Obviously, you're going to have to times that by 12. Per year, you're going to be spending £2,820. Test days, most people do minimum of about 10-ish test days per year. This is probably what I did, if not a bit more, and I also used to race at different circuits. We're just going to base it off one circuit club championship for the year. So test days, we're going to do that times by 10. It's going to cost you on entry fees £80, and then I'm going to add one set of tyres and all oil, fuels, etc. £285 per day. So times that by 10, which equals £2,850. This is obviously optional. You can buy a second-hand car, maybe about a year old, but most people, they buy a new car every single year and sell the old one off. A brand new car without the engine is £4,400. Now I'm basing this off Tony Kart because this is what I know. This is the most common brand in karting. So I'm just going to base it off the OTK Tony Kart. Kart is £4,400. Now obviously you'll have an old one after a few years or 1 year and you can sell that on. We're going to ignore that for now and we're just going to put £4,400 for a brand new kart. Kit purchase. This is for your very first race weekend. So let's say you're buying all new kit and this is your very first weekend and you're jumping into it. Now, obviously you're not going to be buying this every single year. You've got an Arai helmet, which is what I use, which is a very common brand. It's a very good brand. So an Arai helmet, £500 for an Arai SK6, which is a karting helmet for adults. A tinted visor. So I'm doing this without a paint job or anything like that because you don't have to have any of them things, but it's nice to, but you don't have to. So that's going to equal £600. Then you want racewear. Racewear, now this varies a lot again, so you can buy a really nice top level suit or a custom team suit for about £500-600, but there are also a lot cheaper alternatives. So Sparco, they do a starter kit which is £250 for a suit, boots and gloves, which I think is absolutely fantastic value. However, I'm going to add a little bit more onto that because you might not like the boots, you might not like gloves, like the look of the suit, so you might change it up. So we're going to go for £300. I think that's a really good starter kit. You'll definitely want a rib protector. So they are, I'm going to go off the Tillit P1 rib protector because it's the most popular brand. They are £255. Now I know that sounds really expensive. You do not want to race without one of them. That's all your kit purchased for your racewear. So let's start on taking the rear bumper off whilst I talk about the equipment that you're going to need to buy. Obviously, you're going to need a go-kart. That is the first thing that you're going to need to buy. So obviously we spoke about it earlier, about how much a brand new rolling chassis costs. So that is just a rolling chassis with no engine, no exhaust, no carburetor, nothing. Obviously, you don't have to buy brand new every year. You can buy a year-old kart, 2 years old. If you want to be competitive at this level, buying a brand new kart every year is really useful. However, you can buy a second-hand kart at around about £2,500, and that'll be probably a year old and it's probably done 8, 9, 10 races. Chassis are quite good nowadays and they do last a little bit longer than they used to. So as we take this rear bumper off, we're then going to talk about engines. So with engines, there are multiple classes in the UK, but we're going to focus on one class in particular, which is IAME X30, which is exactly what I race on. Now, obviously Rotax is very different to X30, but I'm going to stick with X30 because it's what I know, it's what I've raced for most of my life. I did do some Rotax racing. Most of my career was in IAME X30. So we're going to stick to talking about what I really know. Before we start taking the airbox and the chain guard off, we're going to talk about the equipment. Now, I've had to move the British Championships along because I have run out of room already. So we've already spoke about your kit, your racewear and your kart purchase. However, there are a lot of things that you need to buy. An IAME X30 full kit, which includes the engine, the carburetor, the airbox, the exhaust, the radiator, the wiring loom, everything that you need to bolt it on a kart, press the button and go. Obviously, there are two options here. You don't have to buy brand new. We're going to do used over here and new over here. So used as an IAME X30 full kit is around about £1,800. Brand new, you're looking at £2,200. Yes, that sounds like a lot, but you're not going to be able to buy another radiator, another water pump, another system, another wiring loom. So the only extra thing that you're going to need is obviously a spare engine and a spare carburetor in case something goes wrong. So for a used X30 engine, we're going to be spending about £1,700. That includes a carburetor, which are around about £250 from new. Quite a lot of people actually sell engines with carburetors now. I'm not sure why, but they do that recently. And then obviously new, we're looking for an X30 short motor, £2,000. So a short motor is literally just the engine with nothing bolted onto it. So now we're going to talk about wheels. So obviously there's a lot of different rims out there, but the most commonly used one on the OTK chassis is the OTK MXC full magnesium wheel. MXC wheels, you're going to need a minimum of 2 sets because you don't want to be finishing your practice session and then having to rip that set of tyres off just to put a brand new set on for qualifying and then rip that set off again and then put the practice tyres back on for the 3-lap practice on the morning of the Sunday. MXC wheels, they're around about £700 used, and for new sets, for 2 sets, £1,080. Now that sounds like a lot of money, and yes it is. Most people buy used rim. So you also need wet wheels. Now wet wheels, using the OTK AXP wheels because they are the most commonly used wet wheel rims. Now they, for about 2 sets of used rims, they are about £300. For a new set is £250, so we're going to be writing £500 because you're going to need definitely at least 2 sets of them as well. Now tyres, so this is obviously to buy the kit to get the car on the ground, press the button and drive off. So you're going to need 2 sets of dry tyres and also 2 sets of wet tyres. Nobody really buys second-hand tyres at this level. We're going to completely null and void that, and we're going to point that towards brand new. So we're only going to stick to brand new tyre costs. For dry tyres, for 2 sets is £360, and for 2 sets of brand new wet tyres is £420. So that's all your wheels and tyres sorted. So let's get the airbox off and the chain guard, and then we can start talking about data loggers. Are really important, but you don't have to have them. So these tell you everything that you need to know about the car. So it tells you the revolutions, the water temperature, the exhaust temperature, your mile an hour, your lap times, your sector times. It tells you everything that you need to know, and it also stores all of that data in there so you can download it onto a computer and go through it in depth. You're going to want a data logger. I choose Microns because that's what I know. They are really popular brands. So data logger used, you're looking around about £350. Brand new, you're looking around about £530. So you don't have to buy one of these, but they are really useful. If you're on a hot summer's day, you need to know what temperatures you're running. So you need to be putting tape on your radiators if you're running too cold, and you need to be opening up and putting probably a bigger radiator on when it's really hot, and you don't want to be overheating these things. They're really important pieces of kit. Now you're obviously going to need something to put the car on top of to work on, such as a trolley. Now you really need one of these because if you don't, you're really going to struggle, but you can pick one up for second hand for around about £150. Brand new, they're around about £300. I always use the 4-wheel style, which is 2 small casters on the back, 2 bigger ones on the front, which is really easy to maneuver in a tarmac paddock. So when you get onto more of a gravel paddock, they can be quite difficult, but this is the most commonly used one, so I'm going to write that down. So spares, you're going to need a lot of stuff. So this really adds up. So let's take you into my spares box and show you what I've got in here. So we're going to need a water jug to fill up the radiator. It sounds silly, but you're going to need one. You've got gear oil, we've got all the lubricants you need, such as chain lube, we've got bearing lube, we've got a can of brake cleaner for cleaning, you've got a couple of rags for cleaning as well. You're going to need also loads of different size sprocket, loads of spares such as chains, different clutch drums with different size sprockets on them, battery chargers, spare wire and loom part. There's just so many things that can go wrong on these modern cars that you're going to need quite a few spares. You don't have to buy all these straight outright, so I'm going to ignore this for now. For your spares, around about £300. So let's get all this added up, your annual fees and also buying buying all of the kit that you're going to need. Now that's very rough. Obviously you can buy a second-hand kart, so take that with a real pinch of salt. So that adds up to £10,530. So now let's add up your race kit, £1,155. So now let's add up all the kit that we're going to need. We're going to do a used price and a new price, excluding the tyres. Obviously we're only going to buy new. Used, let's do that first. Used price is now £6,080. Let's add up all your new equipment if you're going to be buying brand new. Obviously this doesn't include the kart because we're going to class that as an annual cost. If you want to be racing at this level, you want to be buying a reasonably new chassis every year, which is £7,690. So now let's get all of these added together and see how much it's going to cost for you to buy your kit and do 1 year's worth of racing. We're going to do brand new only for now. If you're buying all your brand new kit, you're looking at around about £19,375. So that is exactly how much you're going to be spending per year of racing and buying all your kit brand new. You can save a lot of money if you go second hand, and obviously second hand karts can save you about £2,000 there. But if you want to be competitive and being right at the front, you're going to need to spend around about this much money. Now, one thing I haven't added into this is your carburetor and engine rebuilds. Now that really can rack up a lot of money. So engine rebuilds are going to need to be done for around about £600 once a year. So obviously I'm going off of the fact that we've got 2 engines and we're only going to be rebuilding 1 a year. The carburetor rebuilds, they're going to be about £15 per kit. If you want to be competitive, the best thing to do is do this once a weekend or once a day if you want to be right at the front and doing the best you possibly can, giving yourself the best chance. So that is about £15 per rebuild. But obviously you're going to need to do this on your race weekends. So that's 12, that's 24 days plus another 10 days. So that's 34 days of carburetor rebuild at £15 each. Now that is a lot of money. £15 per day doesn't seem like a lot of money to spend on something that's so important. So that's your rental karting, your beginner karting and your club level karting all added up. Right, so now let's talk about British Kart Championships while I get more bits of this engine off. So the British Kart Championships are at such a level now that they are so professional. There are so many teams that are almost like Formula 1 teams. Let's get this carburetor off and then we're going to talk about how much the British Kart Championships cost. So category 4 is the British Kart Championships. Now obviously you're going to need a license again, which is the same as club level, which is £360. So to enter the championship, it's going to cost you per year £310. So your race entry is around about £275 times 5. So we're going to write down race entry times by 5 because that is how many rounds there are in 2026, and your race entry is £275 times by 5 equals £1,375 for your race entries. Now tyres, yes, you have to buy them through the British Kart Championships for the race weekends. I'm going to add in 15 sets of tyres. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but throughout the year you're going to be doing a lot of testing. A lot of people use a set of tyres for qualifying practice and then take them off and put another new set of tyres on. So tyres, we're going to times that by 15 sets. That's including your wet tyres as well, because obviously some rounds it might absolutely hammer it down and you get a really wet soaked weekend. So tyres are around about £210 a set, so that equals £3,150. I'm going to add test race weekends to this. A lot of these drivers go to all these different circuits in the UK maybe a month before they actually race there. They can vary on the different clubs. We're going to base it off club level at Trent Valley Kart Club. So the average test race weekends people do per year is about 10 at club level, which we know already cost a certain amount. So we're going to write that down, times that by 10, which is going to be £2,350. Right, so now we've got that written down, let's get the exhaust off. So mechanics are really important in karting and you're not going to get very far without them. So I'm going to add a mechanics fee on for the day, which is usually around about £200 per day. And now I know that seems like a lot, and it really can be a lot. One day you could have a really nice chilled out day. It's lovely dry weather. You have barely any engine changes. You don't do really any setup changes. It could be a really relaxed day. However, the next day can be a total nightmare. You could blow up engines. You could do damage to the car. You could do multiple setup changes. It could rain. It could dry up and then it could rain again. So you're scrambling around the car all day and it can be really, really hard work. So sometimes that £200 doesn't seem like enough money. So mechanics, you're going to need them for around about 25 days of the year at £200 per day. So that is £5,000 for your mechanic. So team fees can include literally everything that you need. So all you need to do is turn up with your race gear and that's it. They're going to include all of your car, your engines, your fuels, everything that you need, the data. So teams can vary a lot. From what I hear, most teams cost around about £1,500 per day. And obviously you're going to be doing that 25 times. Times that by 25 and that equals a massive £37,500. Right, let's get this engine off whilst I talk about the next stage. So obviously with your racewear, you can buy the same level stuff that you need in club level. However, most people in this sort of racing spend a little bit more on having a nicer helmet with a paint job and custom team suit, nice race boots, nice race gloves, just because, let's be honest, if you're spending £37,500 per year on team fees, what is a few more thousand on really nice race gear and a custom helmet? At this level, most people have already got this stuff anyway. Your average helmet price is going to be about £1,500, which is buying a really nice helmet such as an Arrowride GP7, which is what most people like to use, with a paint job and your accessories, so it's going to be about £1,500. Your race team suit, which most people, if they're going to be paying that much for team fees per year, are going to have a nice suit to match the team sticker kit. That is going to be around about £800. Then obviously you're going to spend a little bit more money on gloves and boots, so they're going to be about £300 for those. And then your rib tech, it doesn't change from that, which is £255. So you could be spending nearly £3,000 on racewear alone. I'm not going to add this into the British Kart Championships because most people at this level are going to have all that equipment anyway. Right, so let's get all of your annual fees added up and see how much it costs. All of this equals to £50,045. So I know that's a really daunting figure and I know it can really add up a lot. However, you don't have to go to that level. You never have to go to that level. So let's get this engine off for now. You don't have to leave any of these categories. You can stay in rental karting for as long as you want. I really enjoy doing this, so I highly recommend this. If you're interested in karting, please give rental karting a go. Beginner karting, obviously, you're spending a little bit more money because you're buying your own kit, and I know it can be a little bit daunting. A lot of these costs are one-time payments, and you're not going to be spending that much per race weekend. Now, obviously, your club level, it adds up over the year, and you're going to be spending about £10,500, but that's if you buy a brand new car every year and don't sell your used car. So obviously, you can minus a lot of money off that. You can probably take off per year about £2,000 if you buy a second-hand car every year. Now obviously your kit, you're going to be purchasing this as a one-time payment. Maybe every 5 or so years you're going to refresh everything, get a new helmet and everything like that. This stuff you're not really going to wear out. You're going to use all of this stuff for years to come. Now obviously the British Kart Championships, you can do this as a privateer. I'm just basing this off average fees of what average people do in the British Kart Championships. Most people are in teams. There's not many privateers, but the privateers can obviously save an eye-watering amount of money. And obviously if you're doing it with your dad or your mum or whoever's mechanicking for you, you can save £5,000 a year on just mechanics fees alone. And you don't even have to do test race weekends. You can minus that off. You can just go to each track and learn it on the Saturday or the Friday or whatever day it is. So you can save a hell of a lot of money by not doing any of these things back down here. So you can minus off around about £45,000 if you've got the kit already. But obviously you're going to need to purchase all of that kit if you want to start off racing. So that's the kart stripped down as much as I need it today. We've gone through everything on the workbench, written down exactly how much karting really costs in the UK. Now obviously you need to take a massive pinch of salt with a lot of these prices because you can do it a hell of a lot cheaper. I'm just doing it on a basic cost of how much most people spend in this sport. So if you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if I've spelt something wrong or I've written down a cost wrong or something's not quite right or I've missed something. Please let me know and join me for the next video.